It's the Nerd Girl Spark Ideas live at BLUG 2012 in Antwerp, Belgium. This one is Gab Davis herself, An Introvert's Guide to Traveling, produced by Spike Studio.
Okay, so Gabriella Davis. I want to talk to you about something, the introvert's guide to travel. Now, here's the thing. I'm an introvert. An introvert is not someone who's shy. This is misconception. An introvert is somebody who is stimulated from what's inside their head, from when being alone. Extroverts are stimulated from social interaction and from things around them, and most of us fall in the middle somewhere. I fall very much towards the introvert side. I live in books. I read a book a day. Weekends I read more. Books is what I do. Because there's a whole world in books. When I was very young, I come from a very, very extrovert family, which I guess is the part of me that comes out when I stand up on stage and speak. But from very young, I have these memories of family parties where my mother would say, get out there and socialise while you sat here in the corner reading. Because reading is perceived as opted out. We elevate people that are extrovert and are able to network and socialise and be open, and the people that can't do that are kind of minimised. And that went to ways. I became an adult, and certainly as I got married, I started to care less. I'm married to a man who's even more of an introvert than I am. We could do, my favourite story is we drove from Las Vegas to San Francisco, which is a 12-hour drive. And as we left Las Vegas, I asked my husband, who's a mathematician, some question about how long would it take to empty a pool? Like if it was draining at this rate and you had this bucket, how long do you think it would take? 6 hours of silence later, he answered me. And he just in his head. And it doesn't bother me because I'm used to it. You know, that's how our relationship works. It really started to bother me when we started travelling. And we travel a lot. And I travel mostly on business, but in the last few years we've tried to travel for pleasure, for ourselves. There are places we really wanted to go. We wanted to go to Rome, we wanted to go to Egypt, we wanted to go to China. So the last 4 years we've gone to Rome and Egypt, and I'm about to go to China next week, so I'm very excited. But the thing about travelling is when you travel, you're expected to be an extrovert. In fact, if you're not an extrovert, people say you're not travelling properly. You're not appreciating the country. Because what extroverts do when they travel is they go somewhere and they go into a bar and they meet people on the street, so they meet people in shops, and they blag an upgrade at the check-in and they get moved to business class. Extroverts can do this naturally. They just do it. I meet people and they'll say, did you see this cafe? I just said, and they'll say, oh, I got talking to the waiter, and did you know his family's from X? And we went, I get very envious. My sister-in-law took her first trip to New York. And they're huge football fans, so they found a pub in Brooklyn and went and watched an Arsenal match. And then ended up going back to the house of one of the guys in the pub and having an all-night party there. It is so far outside of anything I would ever conceive of doing, and yet my experience in New York, and it's one of my favourite places, is that Tim and I would go take a book, get a sandwich from a deli, go to Central Park, around where the Natural History Museum is, sit there for hours and read. That is my experience. I watch people, and those are my memories. The idea of meeting someone in a pub and making a connection for them is terrifying to me, terrifying. And the first time I took my mother-in-law to New York, I remember we took her into Central Park, and then we just sat down and started reading. And she looked at us like, I'm in New York, this is what we're going to do, is it? We're going to do all sit here and do nothing for a few hours. And it really brought home to me that our version of travelling is not everyone else's version of travelling. But when we, last time we went to Egypt, we did a blog called Travelling Turkeys, where we blogged our travels. So we're going to do it again for Egypt, for China. But when I reread the blog, I realised so much of it was about our observations of people and behaviour and culture, and very little of it was about the social stuff, the kind of things that tourist guides will tell you to look out for. Very little in our blog which you find in a tourist guide. But I've learned to accept that does not make my travel experience less than someone else's. I may not meet a friend in a restaurant and come back with phone numbers for people in China that will be best for the rest of my life, but I will sit in a coffee shop somewhere or find a piece of grass somewhere and I will watch the world go by and I will observe somebody, and that will be my memory that I will take back. And I think as an introvert, it's taken me a long time to realise that that has value, and I'm allowed to travel and just get that out of there, and I don't have to travel under someone else's terms. And it's a hugely empowering thing. And I think in this culture, in Western culture, we do encourage people to be extroverts. We encourage people, and if you leave aside the idea that introvert means shy and extrovert means outgoing, and you accept that it's simply about where you get your stimulation from, that introverts are far more in their head, and in many ways they get their creativity from that, and extroverts are far more outside. Most of us fall into a middle ground where I could be creative and have ideas in my head, but I then have to go and talk and engage with somebody to make them come to fruition. I can't operate in a bubble. So my point, I think, to take away with you is if you're an introvert, if you're someone that is stimulated by what's in your head, that's not a bad thing. It has as much value as being an extrovert. You don't have to do the things they say in the guidebooks. You don't have to experience the city or the country the way everyone tells you to experience it. When people come to London, they say to me, what shall I do in London? And my first thought is, I can't tell you, because the things I love in London are not things you'll want to do. The things I love in London, I can give you walks I do, and I can give you places I sit where I love to read. I can give you views I like to look at, but I can't tell you what time to get to a tower or whether Westminster Cathedral is worth going to. But that has value too. So even if you're an introvert,